Today I'm going to tell you about competition in an ecosystem. I'm going to tell you what it is, and I'm also going to give you some examples. Before we get into competition, I need to tell you about an ecosystem. What is an ecosystem? Well, an ecosystem is a place where organisms, living things, interact with their environment, which are non-living things. There are two different words for living things and non-living things. Living things are also called biotic factors, and non-living things are also called abiotic factors. Biotic factors include plants, animals, bacteria, etc. And abiotic factors include soil, air, water, and more. Next, I'm going to tell you about herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Herbivores are animals that will only eat plants, such as the white-tailed deer. Carnivores are animals that will only eat meat, such as a Canada lynx. And then omnivores are animals which will eat just about anything, such as a red fox or even a black bear. Now we're going to get into what exactly is competition. So competition will occur when living things struggle for the same resources such as food, water, and shelter. Living things can also compete for mates in order to reproduce, which means that they will have babies. Some of the examples that I have in our slide here is up on the upper right corner, we have a pack of wolves. All right, so as you can see, those pack of wolves are growling or snarling at the other wolf that's not a part of their pack over some food. So they will fight each other, and sometimes they won't survive. And the reason why they compete for resources is because if they don't compete or if they don't get those resources, then they're not going to survive. Down below, the two elk are on the bottom right. So those elk, my guess is that they're probably competing for a female. So elk will actually headbutt each other and use their antlers. White-tailed deer will also do the same thing in order to fight and show that they are the better animal, the better male, in order to mate with the female. And over on the left, we have two kangaroos in that big picture. So the kangaroos could be competing over food. They could be competing over water. They could even be competing over a female as well. So before I get into my examples of competition, I want to go over some competition that you might see in middle school. So some competition that you'll see is in like competitive sports such as basketball, baseball, football, and soccer. Now, obviously, you guys aren't really competing for food or water or anything like that. It's more like you're competing for bragging rights or to show who's the best. That's kind of like what animals will do when they fight each other for a female. They want to show who is the best female. Another example of competition is shown as fighting for a female or even a male. Dating. Sometimes two friends or even two not friends, they'll like the same person. That happens a lot. And so they'll compete against each other in order to win over that other person. They want to show that they should date whoever they want. Like they want to show, like, for example, if it was me, I'd want to show this other girl that I really like this guy. And I want to show the guy that I'm the best person for him. So sometimes what people can do is sometimes they'll spread rumors about the other person to make them look bad, or they will step up to the plate first and they'll ask that person out. So here's an example of a competition in an ecosystem. Now, this ecosystem isn't a local one. This one is actually in Africa. This would be on the African savanna. But an example of competition is lions versus hyenas. So lions and hyenas, they are both large carnivores and they'll eat animals such as zebras and wildebeest. And so often they'll fight each other or they'll compete against each other in order to get that food. Sometimes hyenas will even steal the lion's prey away, especially if it's a younger lion. They'll steal the prey away in order to eat it. And then sometimes lions, they won't leave enough for hyenas to eat, or they'll just leave their leftovers, their scraps. And that's what the hyenas will eat. Hyenas will also compete with like cheetahs and other large carnivores in order to get the food. And sometimes animals will even, especially in like Africa or in the deserts, they'll compete against each other in order to get water, because water is a limited resource. So that means that there's not a lot of water in those areas. And so they'll often compete against each other in order to get that water. Here's another example of competition in ecosystems. So this one is actually an example of competition in Maine. All right. So a good example would be red-tailed hawks and barred owls. So both red-tailed hawks and barred owls will eat small mammals such as mice. However, they have tried to avoid competition as much as possible so that barred owls have adapted. So that means that they've changed to the point where they can hunt at night so that way they can avoid the competition, especially from other raptors, not just red-tailed hawks, but any other big birds of prey like bald eagles, golden eagles, or any type of large birds of prey. So barred owls have adapted to the hunt at night in order to avoid that competition because red-tailed hawks, bald eagles, those other large birds of prey are often not very active at night. However, that doesn't mean that competition doesn't happen. Sometimes barred owls will be active during the day, and sometimes red-tailed hawks can be active at night, but it's not a very common thing to occur. I hope you guys learned something about competition. Thank you.